Everybody. So today we are here to do the first part of our two-part entertainment review. For this video covers stuff that we saw at the end of February and beginning of March. Next month we'll cover end of March and beginning of April. So first we wanted to talk about our New York City trip. Do you like my hat? Do you like my Harry Potter shirt?
The New York City cap is not the New York Yankees, so
It's just regular New York.
right.
Yeah. So we went to New York from March 2nd to March 4th for a little mini vacation, and it was a lot of fun. We had a great time. So the musical that we wanted to see ended up closing in February. So we saw Kimberly Akimbo as an alternative, and we loved it. The musical that we were originally supposed to see that closed in February was How to Dance in Ohio, which we are very grateful to Mickey Joe Theatre, who is a London based theater reviewer who went to New York City in January and let us know through his video that How to Dance in Ohio was closing early, so we were able to get a refund for the tickets to How to Dance in Ohio, put those money towards the tickets for Kimberly Akimbo, and so what did you think of Kimberly Akimbo?
It was a very intriguing play. Kimberly is this kind of a teenage girl who has a very rare disorder, which actually affects her aging process. So,
It makes her age faster than a typical person. I don't know the exact name of the disease. I don't remember what it's called. But I thought of Curious Case of Benjamin Button for some reason, even though in that movie he has a disorder where he ages backwards, and in this play Kimberly has a disease. Oh wait, maybe the disease is mentioned in the description of the play.
and we saw this at the Booth Theater, which was across the street from the Marriott Grand Marquis, which is adjacent to Times Square.
um
It's a little further west down the street from where we went to the Museum of Broadway.
um um
But I would also like to point out that during our weekend, a couple weekends ago in New York, we stayed at this Marriott Spring Hill Suites, which my mother was able to get for us because of her Marriott points. We found good places to eat around the area, such as Diner, and we met up with Janine's cousin at the place. What was it called?
it was called Juniors.
Juniors, which was right next to the Booth Theater. And then I took Janine out on a nice date that evening after the show to Keen's Steakhouse, which I found out my mother took my father to a while ago when they went to New York City themselves.
I'm sorry. I thought the name of her disease was in the description of the play, but I can't seem to find it. But anyway, so my our favorite characters were Kimberly, the male love interest Seth, Kimberly's aunt Deborah, and Kimberly's friend Teresa. Let me just open my notes again. And our favorite songs were Anagrams, Hello Darling, Father Time, This Time, Good Kid, Our Disease, Before I Go, and Hello Sister. Um, so in the play, Kim's mom is pregnant with a second child who she gives birth to at the end. Spoiler alert, sorry. And Kim's ending is left pretty ambiguous, but I am left to assume that she passes away from her disease because um when she turns 16, she starts to really have types of disorders that like se- senior citizens would have when they're in end of life care, like trouble going to the bathroom and stuff. So yeah. But yeah, overall we loved Kimberly Kimbo and we highly recommend it. It is only performing in New York until the end of next month. So if you have the chance, please book a trip to New York City to go because it was amazing. So I did some book shopping while I was in New York, and I wanted to show a few of the books that I got quickly, and then we'll move on to our next discussion point. One book that I'm reading is Emma by Jane Austen because I'm hooked on to reading classics right now, and I am currently on page 324, and the book is 457 pages, so I'm halfway done. And I was so happy to get this book because, you know, I've been obsessively talking about it and reading it for the past year. Matt and I just finished listening to the audiobook and we are buddy reading it with Sonia, Patty, and Chandler and discussing it in May. So we will hold our comments off on this book until then. And then I also picked up Jenna Fisher's memoir. Jenna Fisher was in the Mean Girls movie musical as Mrs. Heron, and she played Pam on The Office. So I will be reading this next month when I read these other memoirs next to me. And I am looking forward to reading them and learning more, especially about her and what got her into acting, because Pam is probably one of my favorite characters in The Office. So, the next play that we want to discuss is one we just saw last night, A Man of No Importance at the Good Theater. The Good Theater is closing because of renovation, so this is the last show they're doing in the current building they're in, and they're currently looking for a new place to do their shows. So, we are looking forward to seeing shows in their new venue. So, this oh, I thought this play was by Oscar Wilde. It's by Terrence McNally. I thought it was by Oscar Wilde because Oscar Wilde is talked about in the play. So this play was by Terrence McNally. The music and the book for the musical were actually done by the same people who did Seussical, which is one of my favorite plays, Stephen Flatherly and Lynn Ahrens. And this was based on a film called A Man of No Importance, which is set in the 1960s, I believe.
In Ireland in the 1960s.
So, this is about a guy named Elfie who is a theater director, and he puts on a community theater play in his church's basement that's about John the Baptist. That really sparks a lot of controversy, and the theater company is called St. Imelda's Players because St. Imelda's is the name of the church that they have their rehearsals in the basement. So, our favorite characters were Una Crow, who was played by Rachel Lonstein. I don't know if that was the girl in the green dress. I think I'm correct. Um,
I also like Adele Rice, who was played by Abby Hutchinson.
And Abby was in You Can't Take It With You last spring, and we also enjoyed her in that role.
Mm-hmm.
We also liked Alfie, who was played by David Bass Clark, and Robbie, who was played by Stephen Martella. And also we liked Margaret Grace, who was played by Jen Means. So I don't know about you, but my favorite songs were Growing Up, Princess, Man in the Mirror, Confession, and The Cuddles Mary Gave. What songs did you like?
I think I liked the calls Mary gave, the art, also Man of No Importance, and the Streets of Dublin.
So as I was explaining to Matt last night, this is the second play that I have seen that is a musical that has a band playing on the stage. The first musical that I saw that's similar to this is Once, which I saw at Seacoast Rep when I had my bachelorette party for my wedding. So,
And that was the day I had my bachelor party when I first went to Bayside Bowl in Portland.
the next two concerts we wanted to talk about were so before we went to New York City, my parents got we went with my parents to the Portland House of Music, which is around the corner from our apartment, and we saw this Fleetwood Mac cover band. I don't remember what the band was called, but so Fleetwood Mac was a popular band in the 1970s. A similar band is uh the focus of the book Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is a book that Matt picked up at the bookstore after we got home from vacation when we went out with Sally last week. Um, so what are your favorite Fleetwood Mac songs, by the way?
Some of my favorite songs from Fleetwood Mac I really like are, I think, Dreams. I also like Go Your Own Way, Don't Stop, and Gypsy.
I like those songs too, and I think there's a song that they sing about 17, being
Oh,
17.
yes, The
Yeah.
Edge of 17.
Yeah.
Stevie Nicks made that song very popular by around 1982.
So we also went to the concert in West K concert that was put on by
It was
uh
Shannon and Matt Keaton, and that was at the West Kennebunk Church that was adapted by my parents, Paul Wells and Sally Wells.
the songs that we liked in that concert were called Last Day of Fourth Grade and Thursday Morning, but the concert was filled with a lot of good songs, and um maybe we can get some inspiration from their songs to write our own music, because we before we moved here, we took a rhythm and blues writing class at the YMCA, which was before COVID-19. Like in fall 2019, we took that class with my teacher, Mike Phoenix. And I still have my songbook. So maybe we can write our own music if we can get some inspiration from the songs we heard at the concert. Um, so the next thing we're talking about is live action and animated Disney movie comparisons. Since we have watched a lot of these movies previously to making this video, we do not we do not need to necessarily rewatch the movies before making these YouTube videos. So today we're going to talk about Cinderella. Um, Last year we did a whole series about um reviewing Disney sequels, and out of all of the sequels that we watched, the second Cinderella sequel, Cinderella 3: A Twist in Time, is probably our favorite um of all of the Disney sequels that we watched. And the other top favorite Disney sequels that we have are um Aladdin and the King of Thieves and Lion King 2: Simba's Pride. And I feel, oh, The Incredibles 2 was pretty good. And then there was another one I feel like we watched that was really good that we liked. What was it? Do you remember? Or was that it?
That was probably it.
All right. So as far as other Cinderella movies that we've watched, the second Cinderella direct DVD sequel, Cinderella 2 3 Dreams Come True, that wasn't too good. And as far as live action Disney movies go, there's a ton of live action movies based on Cinderella that we need to still watch, like A Cinderella Story with Hilary Duff or Ella Enchanted with Anne Hathaway. But for this review series, we watched Rogers and Hammerstein Cinderella from 1997 with Brandy and Jason Alexander. We watched the live action Cinderella from 2015 and the recent remake that was on Amazon Prime 2 years ago that had Camila Cabello and Billy Porter in it, which we shut off in the middle because it was just not too good. there was too many cheesy pop songs in it, and that took away from the basic aesthetic of the fairy tale. So we gave that movie a C plus, and all of the Cinderella books that I have read get a average rating of B.
Now, what is similar in all these aspects of Cinderella is her evil stepsisters and mother. They don't want as your siblings or parents.
Right. And the Cinderella books that I have read for this review series are Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister by Gregory Maguire, um, By the Book from the Meant to Be series by Jasmine Gilroy, and um, Heart of the Raven Prince from Entangled with Fae series by Tithonia Odette. Next, we wanted to talk about the Mean Girls musical movie, which we saw 3 weeks ago, I think. And then we also talked to Patty and Sonia, our best friends from New Hampshire, um, and got their thoughts on it too. So the four of us gave Mean Girls musical movie an average rating of an A minus. Our individual ratings were Sonia A plus, Matt and I B plus, and Patty B minus.
No, I thought we gave that one an A minus.
Oh, you're right. Patty gave it a B minus. We gave it an A minus. Um, so favorite characters were Katie, Damien, Janice, who was played by the same person who did the voice of Moana.
That's Billy Cleo.
Yeah, I can't pronounce her name and I don't want to mispronounce it, so I think he said it correctly. And Miss Norbury, who was played by Tina Fey, and Mrs. George, who was played by Busy Phillips from Cougar Town, which we are going to be reviewing an episode of in the next video.
Mm-hmm.
And Regina, who is played by Renee Rapp, who was the original Regina on Broadway. And when we talked to Patty about this, one thing she said that she was very disappointed with was the fact that Aaron Samuels didn't get to sing, and I was disappointed by that too because I think he probably deserved a song. Our favorite songs from Mean Girls the musical are Apex Predator,
I'd rather be me.
Me, Stupid with Love, and Revenge Party. And the standout scene in the movie was when Mrs. Heron confronts Caddy about not wanting to go to school the next day after the assembly with the burn book.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I related to that scene so well was because I was bullied when I was in high school, and I had a very similar situation to Caddy where I did not want to go to school the next day because I did not want to be around the bully that was mean to me. Although in Katie's case, I think she was guilty because of what happened with the burn book, but she was also kind of bullied by Regina also. So, and I also sent a message on Instagram to Jenna Fisher saying how much I connected with that scene. I'm not sure if she ever received my message, but I'm hoping she eventually gets it.
All right, moving on here.
Another movie that I recently saw was Argyle. Me and my friend Kate went to go see it. It's a spy movie that also has a book based upon it. According to Goodreads reviews, the movie is actually way better than the book. I'm still going to read the book anyway, but I love the movie. The plot twist keeps me guessing. It's like a spy thriller mystery that's similar to James Bond, only it's more modern. Because the spy in this movie is a female. Um, the other movie we wanted to review was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which we watched for Chinese New Year last month. Well, we watched it last month belatedly to celebrate Chinese New Year, which was at the end of January, beginning of February. So, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon had a lot of Chinese culture and martial arts in it, which we really liked. It was mostly spoken in Chinese, so we had to watch it with the subtitles on to understand what they were saying. What did you like the best about that movie?
It was just in subtitles, and it's a throwback to Chinese classic before communism.
Right. Um, the last thing
Mhm.
that we wanted to talk about today is we're going to review an episode of The Office because originally this month we were going to review Charlie Brown specials, but when we went to go find them at Paramount Plus,
It was not there. It was just on Apple Pay TV.
so we decided to review for this video one episode of The Office, and for the next installment of this review series, we're going to be reviewing a episode of Cougar Town. So we are currently on episode 13 or 14 of The Office right now in season 2. The episode that we are reviewing today is called The Injury, and
And what that is really happened was that Michael was the one who had a very severe injured foot due to him trying to cook some bacon on the George Foreman grill. How many of you folks ever had a George Foreman grill in your lifetime and remember the legendary heavyweight boxer himself? That grill was supposed to be designed for easy cooking and dripping out the fat that we don't need in our body. However, those grills kind of are hard to clean and maintain for life. But in this case, when he injures his foot, it really gives a comparison with Dwight, with him getting.
a little bit more on what caused him to get his injury, though. Like, he was cooking himself breakfast in bed,
Mhm.
and when he got out of bed to go to the bathroom, he stepped on the George Foreman grill and burned his foot, which honestly, I think this whole plot line is a little bit ridiculous. I understand it's supposed to be a situation comedy, but it's a stupid situation. Like, who cooks breakfast in bed and brings the George Foreman grill into the bedroom? First of all, that's risky because, as we saw in the episode, he burnt his foot on the George Foreman grill. Secondly, what if the grill is accidentally left on at night? That could cause a fire. So he put himself in danger by cooking breakfast in bed. And I didn't really like that aspect of the episode. I thought it was dumb. So on to Dwight. Dwight, when he is going to pick up Michael to take him to the hospital, he crashes his car into a pole and gets a concussion. And the thing that was annoying about this episode was Michael was almost in competition with Dwight to see which injury was worse. And I would have to say that that Dwight's injury was worse because he hit his head really hard on the pole when he crashed his car, and he had a concussion, and he really had trouble putting words and sentences together. Like, I'm not sure how serious the burn on Michael's foot was because that was not elaborated on in the episode. But it should have been elaborated on so that way it would have been easier to make a comparison between the injuries. And then at another point in the episode, um, Michael is talking to everybody else at Dunder Mifflin about disability, and he brings in another worker who's like a groundskeeper who actually has a physical disability because he's in a wheelchair and he can't walk. But Michael is making his injury seem more like a serious disability that deserves attention over a serious injury that puts somebody in a wheelchair. Like, that was coming from people who are disabled. We found that the viewpoint of disability in this episode was very, very insensitive, and perhaps that's just that the time period that the show came out in. Season 2 of The Office was in 2006 and 2007, and there wasn't so much activism back then as there is now in regards to disability rights. So I think that in that episode, Michael is very insensitive.
He certainly is. Because when you see people in wheelchairs, you got to be sure that they are loved and need lots of responsibility as well.
Right.
And we happen to know one of our best friends back in New Hampshire who needs a wheelchair.
Yes, that's Patty, the person that we reviewed Mean Girls with. So,
I want to wish you all a happy St. Patrick's Day and hope your Irish side is on you today. And if you have a nice idea for dinner, why not try corned beef and boiled vegetables?
our next installment of this review video will be out on April 7th, and we will be reviewing um, Mean Girls the musical. We will be reviewing um
We just did Mean Girls.
no, When We See My Cousin in Her Play,
Oh, that's right.
Peter and the Starcatcher. And then for TV show episodes, we're going to be reviewing Peter Pan for our Disney live action and animated movie comparison series, and we're also going to be reviewing the episode of Cougar Town called You Don't Know How It Feels, where Jules's dad comes to visit at Halloween time. So our next video will be out on April 7th. So please be sure to tune into that.
Have a good weekend, everybody.